Lovely morning to you, and thank you so much for being with us here on UBC TV. It is quite a bright Monday morning. I'm Robert Chirabonyonyitono. In case you've just joined, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra, now an extension of Good Morning Uganda. But I must remind you that every weekday we are here from the hour of 6:30 with Good Morning Uganda that later flows into Good Morning Uganda Extra. Now, this lovely Monday, I have a very interesting topic that we are going to be discussing. That is health, but in the context of the role of diaspora or their contribution towards the health system in Uganda. Now, I have quite a number of people, but of course these are just representing the majority, the many that are not able to make it on set this morning, that are doing a very tremendous work under their umbrella organization, which is Uganda Nurses and Midwives Association, UK. So these are people, these are Ugandans living in the United Kingdom, and they came together and found it befitting to have a contribution back home in the health sector. Now, there are quite a number of people in the diaspora that are doing a number of things, but this particular group, for them, there are health experts, and they decide to say east or west, home is the best. What is our contribution back home? Now, by the end of this show, you're going to be learning more of how these people are contributing home, and maybe how best we can open our doors for them to continue helping in the health sector of this country. Now, just next to me is Dr. Joan Myers, and of course with her name you must add OBE, that is Officer of the British Empire. It's her birthday today, and I'm happy she's with us this morning. Happy birthday and good morning.
Thank you. Good morning to you too. It's really great to be here this morning.
How long have you spent since you returned?
I've only been here just for a week. I've come over for a medical camp just to celebrate my birthday as well, with children in the village too. Yeah. Okay,
very interesting. Then just next to her, I have that is Gladys Achayo, who happens to be a nursing officer in Fort Potro Regional Referral Hospital. Gladys, you're most welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
And I hope to hear more from you, more so regarding the role of diaspora and what has been doing. You are very good testimony to that, because you're back home and you'll be giving us so much that happens. Then on my extreme end, I have a male nurse, but this one is a senior. Of course, if I'm to look at his profile in terms of qualifications, very, very broad. But allow me, or join me, welcome Tim Mugera, who is also here for the medical camp, and an executive member of the Uganda, that is Nurses and Midwives UK. First, I want to begin by thanking you people. You know, being home, being away from home, far away from home, but with a heart of home. Some people, when they leave Uganda, they never think about us.
That's true.
You know?
That's true.
Some go and go. They never return home.
No.
They start new life, and then as you're speaking to them, even on phone, they'll tell you, for us here in our country, for us in Uganda, someone says it, and you're like, meaning our home, and you're like, hey, sister.
That's true.
You're a Ugandan. No matter where you are, even if you get citizenship and you have dual citizenship or whatever it is, still we shall trace you. And some, finally, when the Lord calls you, you return to Uganda, which you've made no contribution to.
Indeed. Indeed.
You return complaining. The people come, now even processing this, but what if you had made a contribution?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe you would have tried to make certain things straight here and there. But I'll begin with Tim. We'll talk about diaspora. Kindly break it down to our ordinary people, because here in Uganda, most of the times when people talk of diaspora, they talk about abasama, people who come and go, people, but we want now a broader perspective of who are the people. And talk about diaspora, what are we referring to?
Yes, good morning our viewers this morning. My name is Tim Mugera, as Mr. Chirabo has already introduced me. I'm a medical legal practitioner, and I specialize in neurodegenerative diseases, and I also work in the law. I am one of the many Ugandans and Africans who are living out there in the UK. And I think, to answer your question, Mr. Cherabo, diaspora is the people, it's an all-encompassing description. Basically, we are a people that have gone away and live in a different jurisdiction, but then we decide to come back and to our mother countries or adopted countries in Africa and elsewhere. We are quite a big force to reckon with out there, and I think it's high time that the value the diaspora brings back to their home countries that is actually acknowledged and utilized appropriately, because I think we have experience and broad expertise in different areas of any economy and the ecosystem of the countries. So we are quite a very huge, diverse, massively experienced workforce out there that can be utilized. So we're here in this for a medical camp. It's an eye health medical camp, but we're also looking at other areas like mental health and diabetes and so many other areas. But for this medical camp, we're specifically going to specialize and mostly look at eye health, diabetes, and mental health.
Well, one of the areas, most of mental health is really an area in Uganda that we're not given much attention to. Most of the times when I'm moving on the streets and I see how these people are put under police patrols, they are manhandled, and you find tied with ropes and all that. I'm like, this is not a criminal.
No.
They're just sick.
Yes.
This is a patient. If others are taking an ambulance, isn't there any way maybe we'll try either weaken the body, a small injection, take them with dignity? But I'm happy that that's one of the areas you're going to be looking at. Now, Dr. John, what has been the role, or how can diaspora really help in the health sector? What has been your contribution?
First and foremost, my name's Joe Myers from London, UK. I'm a strategic nurse consultant and ambassador for the diaspora nurses in the UK. They're one of the most valuable assets that we have in the UK. The National Health Service, which I actually call the International Health Service, consists of many diaspora nurses. And where there's a huge shortage of nurses all over the world, there's a brain drain of nurses coming over from diaspora, Uganda and other parts of the world, coming to the UK to support the health system. Many of them have got expertise far beyond many of the nurses in the UK, and it's often not recognised because they come from the diaspora. So my role is to support, encourage and empower them to utilise their skills in a way that will sort of support the NHS and also support them back home, because I believe we should have a partnership. What they bring to the UK can actually support them in developing stuff back home in Uganda or wherever they happen to originally come from. So my desire is to support them to do that in whatever way that is possible. And that's why I'm here this week as well for the medical camp, because we could utilise the skills that we have in the UK to support people on the ground here in Uganda. And the very first medical camp that I did was in 2018 in Uganda, and I've been to Ghana, Kenya and other parts of the world on camps, supporting with the expertise that we have to give back to the country of origin.
I love that you bring the knowledge you've acquired, the techniques you've acquired to support back system. But also, doctor, let's understand this. Most of the times when these health camps come, how then do you pass on? I see you guys come sometimes with better equipment than what we have. Then, of course, these are free things. I've never seen a health camp that we pay for. They're free things. We get free treatment. How do it? What is there? Is it learning how you do things? Is it building systems? How do you support the people, apart from you that are coming, but also the people that you find home? You know, I've seen most of the doctors, they will tell you, when so-and-so comes for a health camp, maybe he will chip in and carry out such an operation. Do this for you. And you're like, Do you ever find of transferring what is transferable if it's there in this short time?
Well, that's one of the key areas of the medical camp, is training and development of the people on the ground. So all the medical camp that I've ever been on, that we've always been involved in, is I bring over equipment, and those equipment stay here when we leave. So whether it's blood pressure machines, oxygen saturation monitors, and we work with the Ministry of Health, who will provide local nurses and doctors to work with us, and they would be working alongside us and learning from us, and we would leave the equipment for them to use in the future. In London, what we do is lots of webinars, online training and development that they can actually participate in, and also we have nursing journals that we use in the UK that we can actually donate to the nurses over here, so they can be updated, upskilled in all the different things that they need, because it's vitally important that we share that across. And just to mention that years ago, Lord Nigel Crisp, who used to be the Chief Executive of the National Health Service, the government in the UK asked him to come to Africa to find out how we in the UK could actually help the African healthcare system. And he came back and said he learnt more from the African healthcare system than he thought that he would ever learn. He thought that he was going over to say, this is what we can do for you. But what he found out is that you guys have got skills, competencies and abilities that we have not got, because we're used to using machines, whereas you're used to looking at the patient and learning directly from the patient what needs to be done. So it's a two-way flow. We can learn from each other. One is not better than the other. We're just working and supporting and working in partnership to enable both sides to do well.
Well, now I have to go to Gladys, but Tim, do you want to supplement anything?
Yes, I wanted to say something, just to supplement what Dr. Mayers is just, actually, that's a very, very important point. The diaspora always have got to work in partnership with our local stakeholders and other healthcare partners. It's quite a challenge being in a new environment, although everybody is well known to their areas. Say for instance in Uganda, if you're in Uganda or you've been born in Uganda or you've lived in Uganda, you might know your way around, but actually it's the local partners on the ground that know the systems in place, how things work, how things are coordinated, and this support is so invaluable. So not only the diaspora bring their expertise, but it's the other way around as well. So we both learn from each other. The local partners and the diaspora have got to work in unison and in coordination and in partnership. So that's a very important point.
Now, that said, brings me to Gladys, who is home, and of course, one of the people that at least can testify to the works of the diaspora. What has been your experience working with this organization, the nurses and midwives, UK-based, that really feel they have to do some transformation and help here in Uganda? What has been your experience?
Yeah, first and foremost, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, all our viewers. My name is Gladys Achayo. I'm a nursing officer. I work with Fort Portal Regional Referral Hospital. I'm a mentor and as well a regional trainer for basic obstetrical and neonatal care. And I volunteered with the NHCC, that is the National Healthcare Conferences Uganda, of which we collaborate with the nurses from UK and across the globe. I must say that the nurses and midwife in diaspora, they are doing a recommendable job, which is not actually seen outside there. Other people may think maybe these nurses, they are getting magic from somewhere else, but all it comes from the contribution of our nurses from the diaspora. At first, our healthcare system, especially where I comes from, that is Fort Portal, we have been branded, actually the hospital has been branded as a death trap. That is for the maternal care, because most of the mothers who used to come, either if you don't get a PPH, you succumb for it, or you can get a sepsis. That is when they have done a surgical operation, that is cesarean section. So with our link with the nurses in diaspora, we have been able to transform that name as a death trap. Right now, most of the people, they want to come and get their care in the Fort Portal Regional facility. Why? Because of our relationship, which has greatly improved between the nurses, between the midwife and the community. We have been able to put smile on the faces of our mothers, on the faces of our children. This is via good communication skills, which we have acquired during the mentorship, actually being mentored by the nurses in diaspora through leadership skills and capacity building. We have acquired that one. We have been communicating well. We have been explaining whatever goes on, whatever transpired. We have been handling our mothers with care. We have been handling our mothers with dignity and respect. This one brings me about the health ethics. Actually, it used to go down a little, but because of that collaboration between us and the nurses in diaspora, we have been able to instill discipline on nurses and midwife in Uganda. Not only me benefiting, but there are many nurses out there who are actually benefiting via training. We have been training in handling emergency. I earlier on told you that I handle basic emergency. Yeah, we have been trained, and all these resources came from where? From the nurses from diaspora. And then on that, we have also been trained on leadership skills. You know, when you have a good leader, know that things change a lot because we communicate effectively, both among the healthcare system or the healthcare teams and outside with the community. Thank you.
Well, one of the areas that have really touched me is interpersonal communication, because Dr. Juan and of course team here would say that one of the important things is customer care. And in Uganda, our medical experts, most of go to the nurses. That was an area they were lacking. And when it goes to the midwives, it was totally the opposite. Any woman growing up will know that when I go for labor, I'm going to find the most harsh person I've ever come across. And they will tell you midwives can abuse, they can beat, they can slap, they can say all sorts of things. I think we had come to normalize that. Any woman would know, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that was as if it's part of their training for us here. But well, when we see the Uganda Midwives and Nurses Association UK come up, and one of that area you've handled, and she can testify to that, I think people need more support. We need to open our doors more to you people, and I'm very sure our government, you see, we have the experts out there. So how best can we use them? I think to me this is now the most important thing, that you have Ugandans that have the qualifications, that have the knowledge, and they've even shown by example, by voluntarily coming home and saying we need to do this. Now, how do we ensure that we find ways of how we better support them, better give them more platforms, more opportunities, and even some after serving in the UK, they choose to come back home, and now they're no longer working, and it hurts to find a professor, an expert in a health field, and he says, I'm here enjoying my money.
Well, and one of the other reasons why I'm here, I will be actually teaching in one of the hospitals tomorrow, giving up my time, my expertise to develop, support and empower the nurses in this country, so that as Gladys was saying, we want to train them and upskill them, especially in emotional intelligence and interpersonal skills, so we can provide the best support for our patients. Because at the end of the day, it's about patient care, improving patients' life, patient experience and patient outcomes. And it starts first with communication and being able to talk to them and explain why we do what we do and what we need to do to support them, to enable them to get better. So for me, that's what it's about. As a nurse, sometimes people look down on nurses and they think maybe doctors or other specialism are important, but nurses are a valuable asset to healthcare services because we're right at the forefront, hands-on with the patients. So we need to be able to utilise our skills and competency to support them in that vulnerable time of their lives when they're going through pain and suffering, and that's what we're there to do.
Actually, one of the things I noticed is when you go to a hospital, the first person is a nurse, then the doctor comes in later. And for us, for Uganda's case, a nurse is with you throughout. A doctor is on call. I don't know what this is in the UK, I've not been there, but for us, a doctor is on call, but the nurse is there. And when the situation gets worse, call for me the nurse. The nurse comes, then you hear them on phone. Doctor, now this is the situation, this. Sometimes the doctor can say, okay, well, give this. But the nurse is there. So the first, and that shows the relevance and the importance of a nurse. You rightly say that sometimes you may kind of like underlook them, forgetting that I think they have 85% in the recovery process of a person.
Definitely.
Yes, ladies, wanted to add
And
something?
that's why when you go to the hospital, when a patient is crying or someone is crying, calling for help, the first person they will call is a nurse. Nurse come and help. Even though something which you are not able to do, it is supposed to be the doctor to do, but still they will say, nurse, come and do this. At the same time, even though something happens, they will blame the nurse. Why? It is because we are ever there with the patients 24/7. That's what I wanted to add.
Well, just to add on that as well, it's such a shame because I think the nurses are the backbone of any healthcare system anywhere. And for some reason or the other, we nurses are sometimes forgotten. We are not given the appreciation and the acknowledgement that we deserve because we are the backbone of any healthcare system. We are that bonding for any functional healthcare system. And it's such a shame that nurses have not been on the table. You know, we've been sidelined, we've been forgotten. Our colleagues, the medics, are usually having all the prominence, but actually without the nurses, the medics cannot work. They cannot function, they cannot perform. So I think nurses should be brought in the main fora of all engagements on a functional healthcare system in the 21st century. And I think this is one of the key aims and objectives. For instance, for the Uganda Nurses and Midwives Association, we've trying so much to engage with those stakeholders to ensure that nurses are in the main fora, part and parcel of all engagements and all discussions. We are the bread and butter of any functional healthcare system. And it's high time that we are recognized and given all the support that we require to excel in our vocations. I think that's also a key point that we shouldn't overlook.
Well, at that point, allow me to go for a short break. When I return, we'll still be discussing about, that is the Uganda and Nurses and Midwives Association, UK. These are people in the diaspora but have a heart for home, and they have continuously volunteered, that is time, resources and everything, to ensure that they have an impact. They give back, they bring some transformation, they make things change for the better. They bring what they have there and try to bring it here and see how best we can move forward. Allow me to go for this break. I'll return shortly.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Morning Uganda Extra.
Hans Fanon said, "Each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. I know a man who, in fulfilling his life's mission, has raised the foundations of many generations.
With Kampala captured and the leader of the National Resistance Army, Yoweri Museveni, now president, their task is to move forward until they make contact with the UNLA troops.
Do you see the NRM as being naturally aligned to either the East or the West in particular?
No, we are aligned with Uganda and with Africa. This assumption of the Western countries or of some outside countries that we must either be for the East or for the West is actually racist, to say the least, because we have got our own interests, and these are the ones we are pushing. And if we have got allies, those who agree with us, as far as our interests are concerned, then they are our friends.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transaction. Dial *165 *5 *3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that break, and thank you so much for being with us here on UBC TV. We are still looking at how best can the diaspora contribute to our health system, and with me in studios I have members of the that is the Uganda Nurses and Midwives Association UK. Now, this is an association that brings together nurses and midwives in the United Kingdom who are committed to extend their services back home, and they do it voluntarily. They come home, they have health camps, they have a number of programs that are aimed at ensuring that they boost our health system, and above all, try to bring something similar to what we have. Gladys has just given us a testimony of how through these trainings, that is interpersonal communication, customer care of mothers who are going for antenatal, mothers who are going to deliver, how this has been able to transform and change lives. Now, in the UK, that's how things are done. A customer's rights are very important. A patient's rights are very important there. And of course, a person must know what are you doing on them. Here, it used to be, well, you are a patient, you've come. I know everything. If they tell you now, go there, remove your clothes, you're going for an injection. You don't even know what they're injecting you, but you see, you just stand. That is different with the UK. You have to explain, and of course, you're going to get this. This could be the side effects. We have these 3 types of treatment. We can go for this now. We are having that come home, courtesy of the Uganda Nurses and Midwives Association. I want to commend them so much for the good work and having a heart back home. But Tim, you've talked about the fact that you're doing this voluntarily. And of course, it involves you having your own resources. What kind of support would you need?
That's a very good question, Mr. Chirabo. It's really diverse. But I think, and I would like really to thank UBC for giving us this opportunity to speak to our Ugandan people out there, to actually know that there's, by the way, there's over 215 million, diaspora people that live out there from their mother countries, but they still hold that sentimental attachment to their home countries. We volunteer, many people do volunteer their time at great expense from their own pockets, they pay boarding fees, airfare, upkeep, like there's a lot of expenses that go into just one single trip, but actually the coordination as well. And in fact, at this point, I would like to thank our other partners like Uganda UK Health Alliance. We've got iHealth Africa. We have Uganda UNHCC. Ministry of Health has been very, very invaluable. We have colleagues in Rubaga. We have colleagues in Mulago Hospital. They have been so invaluable. I cannot mention names, and they're all escape my mind right now. But we're really, really thankful for the help and support that's been given to us, and that continues to be given to us, to be able to do these little things that make a massive difference to people's lives. Now, back to your question about what kind of support. I think we need a system and a framework in place to harness the experience and expertise of diaspora. At the moment, most of the things that are being done, like health camps, are actually individually led. But we would wish to have systems in place whereby governments, different governments, can actually put in place supportive, supportive systems to be able to harness this expertise. It could be boarding fees, it could be accommodation, it could be costs towards airfare, and a very systematic arrangement in place whereby people can come in country, offer the expertise. So it's quite a diverse kind of approach that would be required, but it's really, really important that we have the help and support of agencies and stakeholders. It's quite hard, and it's quite expensive, and it's quite time consuming, putting together health camps. Say for instance, right now we've come with several eye surgeons from Moorfield hospitals in London. They've given their time, their experience. We've got lots of ophthalmic nurses. We've got dental hygienists from London, and we've got mental health practitioners. So it's really, really important that we have supportive framework in place that can help harness, the expertise of diaspora out there.
Well, very interesting. Dr. June, would you want to supplement or
Yes.
join down?
Yes, I agree with everything that Tim has mentioned there, that we cannot do anything on our own. We have to work in partnership with the essential stakeholders, including the Ministry of Health. And in other countries where I've worked in, the Ministry of Health would actually provide nurses on the ground that are from the country to support us as we come in, because you've got systems in place that we might not be aware of or might not know about, so we can learn from you and as you learn from us, so we can help to set up training and development support for the nurses, as well as learn from them how we could operate in a more united way. So we're not taking over, but we're supporting and helping. And what I always do is bring over equipment and supplies and then train the people to use them, so that when we leave, they can actually continue the work that we're doing. But we have to work with those important stakeholders on the ground, giving training opportunities. And then one of the ways in running the medical camp is that the nurses that we're working with, I had student nurses working with me in one country, and when they qualified, they had more knowledge than they would have normally had they not worked with us. And every time we come over, they come along and work in the camp with us, as well as, so they're supporting their own country as well as us supporting them.
One of the things, Gladys, that I've recognized over time looking at health camps is, and these trainings, can they be recognized within our health system? Because I look at a person like Tim coming with vast knowledge, some carry online trainings. And the challenge would be if there is no way that this can be factored in terms of maybe someone's qualification, someone attaining a promotion, you know, because one of the things in the nursing and midwife profession is continuous.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something you do and comes to an end, you know, and every level, either you're getting a promotion or for a certain course. So do we have a framework where some of this can be absorbed and really recognized, or we don't? If we don't, then what would be your suggestions?
Thank you very much for that. What I must say is this training they are giving, it is like a continuous professional development. It will develop our skills. It is not that it will award for you a certificate that makes you progress. But you will remain at that level, all right, but you have knowledge. They equipped us with knowledge, how to handle certain things like, let me say, for instance, in communications. When they train you on how to communicate, it does not mean that when you acquire something of that kind, you will be promoted. No, it will give you a promotion on how to communicate with the clients, how to communicate with. You earlier on said that in UK, they explain everything. And like us in Uganda, that they tell you when they say turn, and if you refuse, they say, now why have you come? No, that is the skills we really need to communicate to our clients. For clients to feel really that really they are valued in the healthcare system. Not that they are a burden to the healthcare system. No, we are here, we are in the hospital because of patients. So they should be recognized. That's why this training enhances us to make sure that we help our clients, to make sure that we develop, to promote nursing ahead, to promote midwifery. We are not like those days of the midwife whereby they said, turn here, open, close, do this, and when you complain, they said, why did you come? No. We want to change from that status. We want to upgrade ourselves. We want to be recognized, and we want to do things according to how our nurses across the globe does their things. And in that way, we have been receiving training. At the moment, we have a training that unites us with the nurses in diaspora, not nurses in diaspora, but nurses across the globe. We have what we call virtual placement, virtual simulated placement. These ones here unite us. Actually, in Uganda, we have around 48 nurses and midwives participating together with the nurses in USA and the nurses in UK. This program is being supported by Coventry University and Teaching Hospital. And we have been collaborating with the nurses in Cincinnati Hospital, Children's Hospital, of which it brings us still again on communication, on working ethics, on handling emergencies, which one come first. Not that because you have dressed smartly on suits, you should be handled in the healthcare system first. No, we handle things according to its emergency. Does this one here kill the patient faster? If you comes, will you die before this one? Yeah, we handle you first. Oh, will our activities help you improve immediately? So, and then we have also networking with other nurses. We do networking. Personally, I have very many friends outside there. Others just ask me, you know what, come and work with us. But I said, no, I have to remain here and I work. My coming to nursing is to help our people. It is not to brain drain, to actually carry my knowledge and skills away from here. But we have to compare and contrast. We have to help our other people. Not that what is good should be exported. No, we have to remain here and support our patients. And then also we have advocacy. This advocacy I'm talking about, it is like I remember telling you that we used to have a hospital whereby a mother who comes, the probability that she will go home alive or the baby goes home alive is half. But because of good advocacy, we started advocating for eradicating maternal death due to PPH. How did we do this? We started saying, you know what? Every mother who comes to deliver must be handled, and it is a must for a doctor to come and review that mother. And if at all a mother has gone for surgery, that mother must be handed over physically with all the vitals to make sure that this mother is not in danger. And if at all is in danger, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to do A, B, C, D. And that one has actually eradicated. It has reduced, not eradicated, but it has reduced maternal death due to PPH. It has reduced maternal death due to surgical site infections. The word used to smell. Right now, there's no smell. And because of that strong advocacy with friends we have met outside, we have got support from we call them knowledge for change. They come up and said, you know what, since you have come out that you want to fight this, we are going to help you with A, B, C, D. They have helped us with so many equipments, and sometimes in terms of drugs. And we have started treating, right now as I speak, in Fort Portal Regional Referral Hospital, we treat patients according to blood culture and sensitivity. So long as you are a surgical site infection mother, we imagine that, yeah, this is an infection we need to work on. We use the antibiotic we use. It is not just empirical. We have to do culture and sensitivity, of which it is not really being performed in other places so much. But because I've been in close contact with those nurses in diaspora, I got some skills, some knowledge that yes, if you treat mothers according to their culture and sensitivity, will improve. Actually, the period of staying in the hospital reduces by 90%.
Wow.
Compared to those one who are being given treatment just openly. So.
Well, so much we can talk about. That is the Uganda Nurses and Midwives Association, the benefits that come with. But of course, time may not be so much on our side. Now I come to you, Tim. Briefly, let's talk about this camp. And of course, then I'll have your final remarks.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Kirabo. So we've come with our biggest area of work in this specific medical camp will be eye health. So we've got some ophthalmologists from London. We've got surgeons in very high-end and complex procedures who are coming with us. We're working very closely with Rubaga Hospital and Mulago. We'll also possibly have a diabetes camp in Wakiso, probably, and possibly we might go to Pitabika for some mental health. But we also have a leadership seminar. I think it's on tomorrow, Tuesday, in Mulago. It's a pleasure to be back home, but I think most importantly is that we have to recognize the experts within our midst, and the diaspora health camps is one way of recognizing the experts within our midst. And you know, from time immemorial, all we know is brain drain. It's always people moving from low, medium, or very third world countries out to the developed economies. Right now, I think this is one way of giving back. Now the diaspora experts who are out there coming back. So it's kind of reverse brain drain in a way, and it's a good thing because we learn. But also touching on what Gladys said, continuous professional development is a key issue. There are very many diaspora who've got very nice programs in terms of continuous professional development, programs that they would like to bring back, programs that they would like to be recognized by the home countries. And this is still a challenge because, you know, these programs have got to go through Ministry of Health, through all these other agencies to be certified as appropriate for the home nation's practitioners. But it's a pleasure to be back. We will work very closely. Uganda Nurses and Midwives Association is growing in the UK. We've mapped ourselves. We are a growing force. There's a multitude. I cannot emphasize how big the workforce of healthcare practitioners out there in the UK, Northern Ireland, England and Wales, and they're all very keen to come back home and offer their expertise, but the situation may not be enabling. The financial support from government agencies is really, really important. If we can get that, that will be fantastic. The inter-agency working, collaboration, partnership, definitely we do need that. Lastly, before I hand over to my colleagues, we're actively working on the international recruitment of healthcare professionals, you know, whereby it's actually a fact. In Uganda, there's an oversupply of very well qualified nurses. They have not been absorbed by the system. Most are not working in healthcare facilities. Yes. Most are working in drug shops, you know, and these are highly qualified people. We are having a very nice program whereby we're working very closely with Ministry of Health. Our Permanent Secretary, Dr. Diana Twine, has been very active in this venture. We're trying to see that these nurses in Uganda who are access to supply, who are not in employment, can go to the UK, get employment, learn, earn, and then they'll return back and give that back to their communities. Actually, that earn, learn and return is a very good you know, kind of approach whereby people will go out there, they will earn. You know, remittances from people abroad is actually a major foreign exchange earner for the Uganda government. And I think that's been acknowledged since time immemorial. Remittances from people in the diaspora is very, very big. So I think Uganda, because we're talking about Uganda, will stand to benefit massively if excess capacity of nurses and healthcare professionals in Uganda can go out there in the UK, work, they'll earn, bring in foreign exchange. They will, you know, they will be absorbed because they are not working in the Uganda healthcare system. They will come back and give back. They will come back as experts, and you know. So I think there's quite lots of things that the Uganda Nurses and Midwives Association were actively involved in, and it's a pleasure to be back home. Thank you so much for UBC.
Well, that is Tim. In the interest of time, Doctor, can I have your concluding remarks?
Well, first, as we said all the way through, nurses are the most valuable assets in the healthcare system, and we can harness our skills, our knowledge, and actually improve the care of patients, whether in the hospital or in the home situation. And in the UK, we have the Florence Nightingale Foundation that actually recognises internationally recruited nurses and are doing all that they can to support, mentor and develop nurses from the diaspora and provide the resources. And it'd be great if over in this country we could work in partnership with the UK, the government over here with the government in the UK to actually help and enhance the diaspora nurses to do so much more to help the patients on the ground in whatever country they're from, in this case in Uganda. And for me it's a great pleasure and an honour to be part of this and to be involved in bringing about changes and improvement for all patients across the piece. And I love Uganda.
Well, this one is home, so you coming last is no objection. Let me just have in a minute or two your final remark.
Thank you very much. Actually, I must say, much as it is, it might not be my final remark, but a final remark here in UBC. But we are always continuous to work hand in hand with the nurses and the midwife in diaspora, and we welcome them to actually innovators to instill discipline in the nurses and midwife at large. And I wouldn't need only the Fort Portal Regional Hospital to benefit, but if all the healthcare system can be brought back into what? Can be brought back and benefit from what? From our colleagues in the diaspora, it would be something great. And then lastly, I would say, much as we can get into training and exporting nurses, I think we shouldn't forget of our home. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, the Ugandan nurses and midwives, that is UK, people based in the diaspora. Thank you for the good work. My only concern to me is many times I think Uganda as a government, as a people, need to tap into the various abilities that the sons and daughters of this soil have attained abroad or in diaspora. But also I get concerned when time comes, Tim Mugera has been on set with me after so many years, God giving me life. He promised 120 years, God giving me life. And then you just find him, he's come home, of course they have made the wealth, but he still can work. No, he was a consultant in the UK, respected, so he comes back home and it's just someone enjoying his money. You call them pensioners here, and you're like, then someone tells you that guy was one of the best. But when you came back home, there's no framework for where to place you. At least if there you were one of the best, you come back home, yes, you retired, but maybe you can go to Makerere and periodically give some lectures. Yes, a shilling may not have value to what you've been earning, but we make use of you. You know, we make use of you. You find a prominent lawyer, but when they come back home, that is where I feel our government, either you have to find a way of tracking who these people are when they are done in active service, or when they decide to come and settle home, that you can place them somewhere. That is some of the thing. That's one of the things I feel that we need to move very fast. There are so many actually here in Uganda. When you move around, they will tell you that one when it comes to heart disease, but he chose to come back home and he's enjoying his money. Oh no, that shouldn't be the way to go. No. Have a lovely day. See you tomorrow, God willing.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Morning Uganda Extra.